What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Today, while we're sitting, waiting, while Juventus are looking like chumps because Di Maria will not give them a yes or no, a yes or no, a maybe, a what, we don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's happening with Di Maria. Supposedly, Mambolano says they've had a yes in their hand for 2 days. Sure, we'll believe it when we see it. But we have other updates regarding the Mercado that we really need to get into. Some things going on with De Ligt, as well as some of the high-profile names that Juve are also interested as well. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it's Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, and of course I got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news you care about each and every day. Like I said, I try to get through it quickly, but I do what I can. Sometimes I need to rant. Sometimes I gotta rant a little bit, so you're gonna hear it if there's any news stories that might be rant worthy. But otherwise, we're gonna get through this and give you your rundown for the day. Before we do anything, though, make sure you smash that like button. Like I said, hitting the like button, sharing the video, stuff like that. If you really enjoy what we do here at the channel, please do that. It helps our channel to continue to grow. So hit that like button, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, join our community, and hit the bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Let's jump into it. The very new story of the day. Let's see. This might be one that caused me to rant, or will it? Very first news story of the day is Sport reporting that Paredes is back on the table. Paredes is waiting to talk to PSG to find out the club's plans for him. The Argentine would like to leave, and Juventus' option appeals to him as he would be at the center of the project in Turin, where he would be in the midfield along with Pogba and Locatelli. In Turin, they're thinking of finding the right balance for the player by exchanging the player for MOISE KEAN. The players would both be valued at about 30 million euros.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Moving on, let's talk about the next subject of the day, and that is Alfredo Padula, who has his comments on the ongoing negotiations and the deal that appears to be getting done for Cambiasso. Positive meeting between Cherubini and Genoa for Cambiasso. Dragusin, as confirmed, will be part of the deal. Now it's up to Inter, though, to decide whether or not to respond. So as it stands right now, I don't know if it looks like Dragusin's just going on there for as being loaned out, or if it's a loan to buy kind of option, especially with Genoa being there. They got moved down, relegated to City B, so I'd imagine Dragusin would want to go there to be purchased by them, but we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on. Again, the purchase of Cambiasso, to me, it's a little bit surprising, I guess, just given the moves that be made, the important moves that could be made. Obviously, right now you have Paul Pogba being done, basically, for all intents and purposes, and then Di Maria, whatever's happening there, and then you're going to have to figure out what happens after that. But then for the left back situation, it's Cambiasso. Of all the options out there, Weindal, we talked about Udogi, like, why can't you put the pressure on him? Molina, even, and all these, then Cambiasso's the guy. One of the places I sit with this is maybe the reason for this and reason for Cambiasso is the way that he is because maybe this is not an option that Juventus are really buying for Juventus. Maybe they're doing it to loan him out to see, it's one of those investment kind of deals. I don't know that for certain, but it's something to keep an eye on. Let's continue on, and now we can get back to our guy Di Maria and talk about what's going on with him, the situation as it stands. Mirko De Natale, who has an update on Di Maria, gives this latest, I can't even get through it with a straight face. He says, on Di Maria, Juve will expect an answer by Sunday at the latest. I mean, at this point, I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you people. I don't know what I'm supposed to believe. I don't know what I should even, at this point, I don't even want to cover Di Maria on the channel. I feel like let's just move on from Di Maria. Okay, like, don't tell me, nobody knows. You've been saying, how many Sundays have passed that we've expected an answer from Di Maria by? How many weekends have we been told? Even Romeo Agresti himself he's made him look awful. Like, I mean, honestly, when I say awful, I'm not trying to disparage Romeo Agresti, but what I'm saying is even the guys who are viewed at the top of the game when it comes to Juventus knowledge, movers and shakers, knowing what's going on, you're making them look discreditable. Di Maria is doing this. I don't know if it's Juventus and their continued pursuit of him because they don't think there's really a better option or whatever's happening right here. But Di Maria is, I mean, at this point, you're looking like chumps, and that's the situation as it stands. The longer it goes on, again, I'm going to cut myself now because I'm not going to keep ranting about this, and I'm going to waste minutes of your life once again ranting about Di Maria. But dear Lord, at this point, move on. Like, move on from Di Maria. Give him yes, no. If Momblano's correct and he already had the yes for the last 2 days, then somebody come out with it and leak it. That's not Momblano. That's a reputable source. That's all I'm asking. Just say they have the yes. Then we can move on with our lives. Because at this point, who cares? He's gonna be a player for like 4 months. He's gonna actually try for Juventus for maybe 4 months. Make sure he's warmed up and ready to go for the World Cup. All right. Let's talk about another news story, though. Another news story that may worry some of you all. So let's get it out and throw it out there. DiMarzio now is talking about the situation going on with De Ligt, saying that Chelsea are interested in Matthias De Ligt, but no offer has been made. If they want him this summer, they will need to offer something close to the release clause, as Juve don't want to sell. The release clause, about 120 million euros, not the lowered option. And that's something that does worry me. I've mentioned that on the channel, is if you... And that's one reason I think they may be playing this a little bit differently too. Because if you're Juventus and you want to renew him, you renew him till whatever, but maybe you do it at the end of the Mercado because you don't want that release clause to drop to 70, 80 million euros, and then somebody come in and be like, oh, I can buy him now. Oh, we've been working on this deal behind the scenes. Let's do it now. Let's do it now before the Mercado closes. But continuing on with that, we have Romeo Guaresti, who gave his comments saying that Juventus wanted the late renewal, but now they expect a signal from the player. Should the signal not arrive, then the market scenarios could open up for the immediate future. Situation to be carefully monitored. And regardless of what I just said about Romeo Guaresti and the goings on with Di Maria that have made him even look bad, Romeo Guaresti still is top dog when it comes to any kind of knowledge coming from the club or anything like that you would expect. So I still respect his opinion on this, and saying that De Ligt, the renewal, it's not all set. And also Matthias De Ligt has basically thrown out some feelers there that maybe he isn't so set on renewing and staying with the club. So it's something to keep an eye on. It's something that could be worrisome. Going off of that, the last bit of this, Alfredo Padula also says that there will be a meeting between Juve and the agents of Matthias De Ligt. The priority is to find an agreement for the renewal. The Premier League is waiting. The news is that he is Guardiola's favorite profile for Man City. So that could be worrisome. Man City's got the money. They can make things happen, and they can definitely get in his ear and try to woo him away, if you will. So it's something I'd worry about if I'm Juventus. I would definitely sit down with him, have talks about our commitment to De Ligt, how he is a focal point of what we're doing here, potentially the next captain of the club, stuff like that, and see just how committed he is to being a Juventus player. Because if he's not and he's ready to move on, I mean, that's something that would worry me. That's something that definitely worries me. If you set the future and then the next thing you know, you drop that release clause, you renew him or whatever. So I just don't see Juventus renewing him anytime before the end of the Mercado. Like literally, I would say at the end of the Mercado, maybe even later than that, just so that way that release clause isn't dropping. So if they're doing, then they're not going to do that. It wouldn't make any sense. It's not me breaking any news to them, right? So it wouldn't be smart on their part to do anything before the Mercado's over. Then you'd have to worry about in the winter and then after that. So we'll see what happens there. Would not be a good. It would not be great for Juventus staff to go and have to replace not only Chiellini, but then Matthias De Ligt also in the next Mercado or so. So what are you going to get? Bremer and Koulibaly? Or like, what are you getting? What are you working on? Gotti moving up to the first team? Or not the first team, but the first, I guess the starting lineup. We'll see. All right, continuing on, let's talk about the other things going on with the Mercado. And that's Big Z news. We're going to do it. I need to get some like Big Z sounders or something like that to get you all hyped, get you excited for Big Z, because he's coming to Juventus. He's going to be a Juve player before the end of this thing. You guys know it. All right. Tutto Sports reporting saying that Juve and Allegri hold Zaniolo in high esteem, and for now, he is waiting for a contract renewal proposal. After initial talks were unsuccessful, at Juve, the player is of such interest that they are considering making an offer even should Di Maria join. And that's starting to build quite a bit of backing there. There's quite a bit of backing that Zaniolo may not just be if you can get, a substitute for Di Maria or a substitute for whoever else, So if you're looking at Di Maria, you could also get Zaniolo alongside him. I'd be here for it. Something to keep an eye on. So we'll see how that develops in the coming weeks. All right. Next up, we got Napoli, rumored player with Juventus, and it's not Koulibaly. It is, of course, Fabian Ruiz, who Tutto Sports saying that Juventus are serious about Fabian Ruiz. The player has not found an agreement with Napoli for the renewal and can leave immediately. Napoli want 30 million euros. Juventus want to offer around 15 to 20 million, plus bonuses, or Ravella with it, who could leave the club. could be a solid option if Juventus could get him. Part of me would kind of imagine using Rovella in a role. I don't know, for like a bigger get. I mean, I'm not trying to say, Zaniolo to me is a bigger get, or at least a bigger price point, so it makes more sense there to use it to bring down the price of a guy like that. So we'll see about that. We'll see if Rovella, if he's seriously going to be used in this Mercado, and who he will end up being used for by the end of it. All right. Next up, let's talk about Minetti and his situation. Nico Schietta basically is reporting saying that Monza have asked Juventus for Fabio Minetti on loan, but Juve have turned down the bid. So that should basically give you enough information to say that Juventus feel pretty committed to him, and that there's a good chance that you'll see him playing with Juventus going into next season. All right. Next up, let's talk about Adrian Rabiot, and he's finding his way into my good graces, not because he's doing anything good for Juventus on the field, but he's willing to do some good things in the Mercado for them. Jason Burt with Telegraph is reporting saying that Rabiot has told Juventus that he wants out this summer and is looking for a move to the Premier League. Juventus are open to let him go, with the club looking to make around 15 million euros for a transfer of him. So I'm all here for that. Don't have to see him every single game. Get him on out of here. Bring in another guy, maybe alongside Pogba. That is not Paredes, and I will be satisfied. Maybe we'll see how many you have to do, but you're going to bring in Fagioli and Minetti. I would imagine keeping him with the first club as well. So maybe if you can get in one other guy, I'd feel pretty solid moving into this next season. Another guy, though, who could fill or could leave a void for Juventus would be that of Zakaria in the midfield. Tutto Sports reporting that Allegri would gladly keep Zakaria, but in the face of a good offer, the club will think about it as they do with all offers. Which I'm a little bit torn with how I feel about potentially moving Zakaria this soon in the Mercado, or not soon in the Mercado, but this soon in his tenure with Juventus, mainly just because I don't know if we've seen the heights of what he can bring to this club. I already saw when he first started playing that very first match with Vlahovic, they had a breakout game, an amazing breakout game. But at the same time, since then, he hasn't performed to the same level, mainly because obviously he has sustained injuries, and he has been injured for a little bit. So that's where I could sit a little bit where, like, if this player is not going to be up to snuff because, unfortunately, he's not recovered from his injuries, and is he going to recover from his injury? He's starting to worry me because he got injured and he had another reoccurrence there and stuff like that. Always seems to worry. But something to keep an eye on if Zakaria is going to be a player that Juventus will end up keeping for the long term, or if he'll just be a quick profit player that they end up trying to move on here in the next Mercado or so. Let's talk about a player that you don't care about, I don't care about, so let's get this on and moved in and moved out as quickly as possible. Tutto Sport talking about Mandragora and saying that the meeting between Torino and Mandragora, his entourage is expected to take place today after Fiorentina reached an agreement with Juve for 10.5 million euros. So there you go. Moving on. Good luck. That's all I got to say about that. All right, and then the last bit of news of the day, talking about moving on from other unwanted players for Juventus. Nico Schiers was saying that Marco Piazza will leave Juventus this summer. Salernitana are interested in the Croatian forward, as well as a done deal confirmed. Here we go. We got to do it. Here we go live, right? For Gianluca Frabotta to Lecce from Juventus on loan with the option to buy as well. Juve will have the buyback clause, expected medicals on Saturday. So there's your update. Those are the things we have right now regarding the Mercado. Things to definitely keep an eye on are definitely the situation as it continues to develop with Di Maria, the De Ligt debacle, if you will, as well as Paredes. Is Juventus really going to do, to me, a mediocre, ignorant deal that makes no sense at all to me? I'd rather keep MOISE KEAN at that point. I think you're losing out. I'm not saying MOISE KEAN's good. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm not saying MOISE KEAN's good, but it doesn't make sense. And I know I didn't comment on it because I just didn't want to. But that's where I sit with it. It doesn't make sense to me to lose or to sell a mediocre MOISE KEAN for the price that you have him at, to trade in and get another mediocre player. Like, it's a waste of time. It's the same as me saying the deal with Partey and Archer. It doesn't make sense to me. Don't waste our time. Don't do it. All right. That'll do it for today's show. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me at Justin Sovro on Twitter. And then you can also follow the Beyond Canary Zone at Beyond Canary Zone, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Beyond Canary.